Hello, everyone. We are going talking about conflict analysis about organized crime in Russia. My group is conformed by Nicole Tatiana Novoa, Hernan Santiago Castiblanco, Maria Fernanda Patiño, and me, Tatiana Marin. We did a short timeline for to share with you the historical process and the creation of the criminal organizations into Russia. And firstly, we have that the Russian crime began in the 17th century with the Tsars Peter. Peters was a Russian empire, and he was the trigger for the creation of the first criminal organization in Russia. Secondly, we have between the century 18, the Russian criminals survived for a century in the concentration camps, and that success eliminating their fear of the state figure, and that century was the creation of the most big criminal organizations into Russia. In year 1917, the Russian Revolution led by Lenin began and the power fell to the Bolsheviks. Bolsheviks was like a political group, and that group was the political group of the rebels or of the leaders of the criminal organizations in Russia. During the Second World War, Stalin decided to negotiate with the Russian prisoners, offering freedom to those deals who enlist to their army, and their army was named Borsakon, and decreased the number of the criminal organizations because the prisoners and people who was enlisted in that group, the name of that group, Borsakon. From the year 1880 to the year 1910, the Soviet Union disappeared, and with that process, the criminal organization took the power in Russia because the political order was disappearing with the process of the creation of the new Russia, and that process was like a tool for the criminal organizations for to take the power into Russia. In year two, 2000, with Putin and the new order into Russia, the organized crime was by no means defeated, but it was tamed. He adapted to the new order, and also he continued to resort to violence to settle scores and punish others, and he did so in a much more selective way.
Okay, for the context, the Russian Federation extends over Eastern Europe and Northern Asia. It's the largest country in the world, equivalent to just over a ninth of planet's land, and has a great variety of relief and ecosystems. Its capital is the federal city of Moscow.
And nowadays, their president is Vladimir Putin. He is the president from the year 2000 to nowadays. And the term of Borsakon was the group of created by Stalin, and that group, their name, have the name of the TF Law. TF Law was the first and the most big group, criminal group into Russia, and that group was commanded or created inclusive, but the government in that moment, in the moment was when Stanley was the leader, And nowadays, the principal leaders was people who was part of that group, the Borsacon, or child of that people in that group. In our actors map, we have like a protagonist, the Russian mafia, and the Russian mafia is confirmed by a lot of number of criminal organizations into Russia, but these four criminal organizations are the principal. We have Aslan Usoyan, Ivan Kok, Sylvester, and Onya Nitaro, and we are going to tell you about only two of these principal groups.
For the criminal Tariel Oniani Taro, he controls the Russian mafia in Europe and is currently in prison and will be extradited to Spain.
In our map, we can find different type of relations. For instance, we have a relation of confrontation between the Russian mafia and criminal organizations, with the leader Vladimir Putin, with the international institutions and big companies in Russia, and people and Russian people, because in Russia they have like a group for terror or terrorism into the country, because they have a big problem with the rules of the country. They don't think about the other people, and they, for instance, traffic of human, traffic of drugs. Russia have a big line, a big route for the mobilization of drugs, and that is a big problem for the economy in Russia, and they position a bit in front of other countries. For instance, we can find two relations of the cooperation with the Russian mafia. For instance, the big company. Some big companies have a good relation with the criminal organizations for the mobilization of merchandise, of mobilization of the drugs into their merchandise. They can to obtain different resources. We can find the cooperation between the criminal organizations in Russia with the other criminal organization from other countries. For instance, countries into Europe, they have criminal organizations, and that criminal organizations work hand to hand with the Russian mafia or Russian criminal organizations. We can find two. The relation of indifferences, for instance, between Vladimir Putin and the poverty population in Russia, because the poverty population in Russia work with the criminal organizations because they don't have the resources, we don't have the help of the government in Russia, and they obtain for to work and to have a support of the criminal organizations. And the criminal organization is not an easy work. Work in Russia, but it's easy for to be part of that group, that type of groups in Russia. Here we can find the route for the mobilization of drugs to Europe, and these drugs are from Afghanistan and China, and they cross for the Russian territory for criminal organizations into Russia, and they are in the route to Europe. After to analyze the different types of dynamics of the criminal groups in Russia, for instance, the traffic of human, traffic of weapons, and traffic of drugs, given the analysis of the conflict, we can conclude that it originates from social inequality, opposition to the government, and feeling of superiority from Russian Russian people who are part of the criminal organizations into the country.